122 episodes. That's enough.
I think we're done. This is it, right? This is the series finale for My Cup of Tea, ending in 2024, like we always planned, Nathan.
Yeah, what episode did we jump the shark?
What do you mean?
Fucking what episode was just like, all right, that's enough. Was it 3.5 hour podcast? Was that it?
Probably. We haven't done a good 3.5 hour podcast in a long time, man. What happened to us? We're smarter than this.
How this happened? We're smart. That's the other podcast. Oh God, please bring that marathon to my theater.
I think, please. But I mean, it's coming to my theater if I'm not seeing it. I can't go 6 hours, 9, 10 hours. What am I doing? 12 hours. Anyways.
24.
24, sure. We're back. This has been interesting. I was talking to you last time about this, how we're going like not out of order, but like we're going back and forth between My Cup of Tea and Hyperspace Hype every other week. And it's just interesting because we had a super major Bad Batch episode this week, but we'll do it next week. And I was on my Google Calendar, like, mapping it out, like where will we be when the finale airs? And our Hyperspace Hype is going to be the week before the Bad Batch finale, which I think works out now because of the news about Tales of the Empire, which we'll talk about next week. Because then we'll have time to watch that during my birthday, May 4th, but then we'll get to talk about it the week afterwards because I like simmering on stuff like that.
Right.
But then, and then this week, I bring that up because this week is going to be CinemaCon. And there's going to be a lot of major news this week, like the Joker trailer, and maybe some other surprise trailers here and there. But I think it was important to air out a lot of the movie news and TV news that has happened over the past 2 weeks before CinemaCon. Otherwise, the sheet I always give you is going to be like 4 DMs long.
And then I only pick like a select 3 for the thumbnail.
Which I always admire you. I'm like, which one is Nathan going to pick? But you did some good shit today.
I'm like, what am I going to do today? And I was also crammed for time, so I didn't make it till after work today.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I was like, can we do it at 10?
Yeah, that works for me. Yep, I got nowhere to be. We can go 3 hours tonight, Nathan. Fuck the school.
Why don't you watch stuff with me for a change? It's Jalen's not.
What do you want to watch?
Lucifer.
We could watch. They have the. Can they do like the? Does Amazon have the share thing still? We could watch like the Adam Eve Invincible special together.
Maybe
that'd be fun. Because I've only seen that once, but I had a blast watching it because Eve's my favorite character in the show. I really want to get into the comics because I'm always spoiled and shit on like comic book panels and all that kind of shit. I'm like, oh, this looks interesting. I can't wait to watch it. Invincible is always a weird thing for me. Quick tangent, where it's like I've been spoiled on some stuff, not a lot of stuff. So, certain developments in season 2 I didn't see coming. But other stuff, I'm like, oh, wow, this is coming up and I can't wait to see this. Like, I'm not too bothered by it as I would be like anime. If I see a manga panel and, because anime takes a while. So if I see a manga panel, I'm like, this is all the way going to be in season 4. And we're at season 2. And I'm like, well, fuck. But anyways.
Man, yeah. So I just viewers, I just watched this first season of Invincible for the first time. Great. A very emotional gut punch. I knew from fucking memes and shit that Omnia was going to beat the shit out of Mark.
Oh yeah, it's hard to, you can't avoid that one. Yeah.
Yeah. Think. But I it was still just such a gut punch watching the whole unraveling because I was going to beat him down, but just like throwing him through all of humanity just cause so fucked. And what really was uncomfortable was when he holds him in front of the train.
God, he's like, no,
forces him. Yeah, he's forcing him through the guts of the people he's trying to say. That's like, he's so gone, man. Like, there's no redemption for this man.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm fully behind that. And that season 1 finale was just unforgettable. Because, Invincible, similar to The Boys, right? Where, you look at shows like
Mm.
that, and I think the appeal for a lot of it is like the blood, the guts, the brutality of it. How it's not
Mm-hmm.
like your Marvel and DC where they can go like over the top with the violence, but shows like Invincible, and then like we saw with Gen V, like a lot of the heart of the show is probably the best part, more than like the appealing blood and guts. Like because that finale was like
Yeah.
brutal, and it was like, oh my god, like parents getting cut in half in front of their children, Mark slaughtering a whole train indirectly, getting brutally beaten up. But the best part about that finale for me is the final scene between Mark and Omni-Man. What's his name?
Nolan.
Nolan. Yeah. Where he's getting ready, he could kill Mark, but he doesn't. And this is all after calling his mom a pet. All
Yeah.
this stuff, like
This was
something.
where
Yeah,
a few seconds before he was like, I'll just bake another one. Like 17
exactly.
years, blink of an eye.
He's saying
So
that
fucked.
he's saying that it's a blink of an eye for him. Mark is statistically insignificant to Nolan, but something within Nolan kept Mark alive, and that's why he jets out in anger. I'm like, wait, your mission is to take over the Earth. What are you doing here, Nolan?
Yeah.
So it was just a very interesting premise, and that always stuck with me before season 2.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Invincible is great. If you have not watched Invincible, we just spoiled it for you, season 1 at least. But season 2 has been, going on since late last year, November, I think, and then it just ended again, part 2, ended this past week in phenomenal fashion. And season 3 is coming out later this year as well. So,
Oh wow.
yeah, they did season 2 and 3 back to back. So I believe season 3 is coming out this fall, if I remember correctly. And he said like he doesn't know if they'll do the split season again because some fans didn't like it. I didn't like it because it kind of ruined the momentum. But it's like I didn't really care either way though. It's like I'm used to it on an anime scale. But this one was like 4 episodes. So I'm like, yeah.
I'll tell you what was funny is like I got to the episode with like the creepy cyborg dude at the college.
Oh gosh, yeah.
And it was funny because I was it was funny because I was, Amazon has like the X-ray stuff of like who the actor is when you pause, and like there was like that asshole dude at the start, and I was like, oh boy, it's Justin Roiland. And then he got kidnapped by the crazy scientist dude, and oh boy, it was Ezra Miller.
I know, yeah. It's not Ezra Miller.
I was like,
again.
what a funny, yeah. I was like, what a funny back to back.
That was funny. They did recast Ezra Miller, but I don't think they recast him because of the controversial. It might have been because of the controversy behind Ezra, but also because they recast somebody else for season 2. I forget who it was. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I think it might have been even like time constraints or whatever. But yeah, I forgot about that whole casting. But let's dive into some of these movie news because we have a lot on our plate today. Let's start off with some great news straight from the thumbnail. Dune Messiah is here. It's happening. It's here. It's wow. It's now. We saw this coming.
And how?
It was inevitable, just like the boy Dune.
Hans Zimmer almost said it basically.
Yeah, Hans Zimmer basically when they asked him
yeah, I'm starting it. What?
Yeah, like didn't he put down like Dune Messiah in front of him? He was like, "This is our next thing." So Hans is already working and like thinking about the score for Dune Messiah, even though the movie is probably coming out for quite some time. So Dune Messiah was officially announced via Variety this past week, but it was within an article about Denis' other project that just got announced as well. So before we talk about that, we have Dune Messiah, which is definitely happening for Denis Villeneuve under Legendary / Warner Brothers. But he's also has a film that is currently in pre-production and writing, and that is Rendezvous with Rama, which is a science fiction. As Eric Roth, the writer, said, it's like a rival on steroids, where this alien contraption appears in front of the Earth, and some astronauts have to go up to it, and then it's like a whole big thing. I read a book synopsis because I might want to read the book beforehand because it looks very interesting. Anyways, Rendezvous with Rama, science fiction epic coming out for Denis Villeneuve. He also has a Cleopatra project, which hasn't been discussed as much as Rendezvous with Rama, so we don't know what stage his Cleopatra project is in. But I don't know. We'll have to see where that leads. But then, we have Dune Messiah, and then we have this movie. And this one is called, his newest one is called Nuclear War: A Scenario. Which, let me go to my bookmarks.
Hell of a title.
I know it's a weird title. Do you like the title Nuclear War: A Scenario?
No, but I'm sure I'll get used to it.
Me too. It's funny because a lot of these titles, like, I can't remember a recent one where I was like, this title sucks. But Ghostbusters: A Frozen Empire wasn't great. But
what is the title?
Yeah, as a subtitle, Frozen Empire.
What's with all these empires and the subtitles?
And then a lot of the time for these empires, or whether it's like the Empire or the Age of blank, it's never long. Like in Age of Ultron, was it really an Age of Ultron?
Couple weeks.
I mean, I get it because of the comics, but it's like,
what's that? That was totally for just name recognition.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just name recognition alone.
I remember reading through. I have the full like hard copy 75 issue collection of Age of Ultron. I'm like, the shit's in the Bible. Wolverine ain't stabbing himself back in time.
Age of Ultron is completely different. Yeah, it's more of a like Age of Apocalypse kind of thing.
Right.
Nuclear War Scenario is about. Let me see if I can find the premise here. It explores a ticking clock scenario based on what would happen in the event of a nuclear war, based on dozens of exclusive interviews with military and civilian experts who built the weapons and have been privy to the response plans and have been responsible for those decisions should they have needed to be made. Again, what if happens in the case of nuclear war? I don't know how a riveting story comes out of that. It sounds interesting. Like, is this going to be a fictional tale about what happens if a nuclear war existed or was on the premise of a nuclear war?
It's funny because there's like two ways you can look at it. On one hand, it's like, well, it sounds pretty predetermined of what's going to happen. But at the same time, so did Oppenheimer. We're going to make the bomb, but also just the psychosis of this man.
Yeah, I remember when Oppenheimer first got announced by Nolan, and this is coming after like Dunkirk, and I was like really bored of Dunkirk. I know, hot take, whatever. But I was really bored of Dunkirk, and I'm like, he's going back to do another historical film. What can Nolan really do with this one? It seems kind of like just an average biopic, and it ended up being one of the best movies I've ever seen in Oppenheimer. So Denis getting to create this like fictional, close to real life scenario here about the age of nuclear war, that could be very funny, or not very funny, very interesting. I bring up it being funny in the sense that like Nolan just won an Oscar, multiple Oscars for a nuclear war film. Denis is like becoming one of the most prestige directors ever, and for him to do a nuclear war movie right after Nolan wins his Oscar, it just seems very interesting. I'm like, could this be Denis' Oscar movie? Even though he should have got it for Arrival, I think, in 2016, or Prisoner, Sicario, Blade Runner.
I don't think it would be his Oscar movie if it's super Oppenheimer coded and we just awarded that.
You never know, though. I mean, that's fair. Yeah,
I mean, I would call Dune 2 his, like, if anything, he'd have like Return of the King level chances in terms of popularity and.
For which one, Dune 2 or Messiah?
For Dune 2 currently, because it's universally praised.
I know. I've seen a lot of detractors. No, I'm kidding.
Show me one, motherfucker.
I think Dune Part 2 is already slotted in for like easily Best Picture, of course, but like top 3 of the year, I think. There's this movie coming out with Coleman Domingo called Sing Sing, which got screened last year at TIFF, Telluride International Film Festival. And it's about these convicts in prison who, create like a play or a musical, something along those lines, some kind of like artsy. I hear it's like beyond fantastic. So people are putting that out already as their best picture winner. So Dune has some competition, but I think Dune is definitely locked in for a lot of nominations. Hopefully Denis gets a directing nomination because he didn't get one for Dune Part 1. Hopefully he gets it here. But I don't think James Cameron even got one for Avatar 2.
Not for like a director picture. No, he got picture, didn't he?
He got picture for sure. I don't know if he got Avatar 2 Best Director. Did he get in for that? Yeah, he was not nominated. What is that?
Can you believe they snubbed the VFX for Avatar?
Yeah, that would never happen.
It's the dark timeline.
Yeah. What did get nominated? Because that was a 2022 year. Now I'm curious.
Right.
But yeah, so that's just interesting. Oh yeah, okay. That was Everything Everywhere People. But yeah, it's just very interesting for Denis Villeneuve. He has a lot on his plate. I do think we'll get Rendezvous with Rama first, then Dune Messiah, then Nuclear War scenario. Because I think his Cleopatra one is kind of on the back burner if he still wants to even do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, Denis has a lot on his plate, and I can't wait to see what's next for my boy. But let's talk about. Oh man, we have a lot to talk about. I'm so excited about all these topics. Let's dive into some comic book stuff. Let's jump right in. Yeah. Starting up from a couple of weeks ago now, there are a lot of directors in the mix for Spider-Man 4. Right. One of the ones that Jeff Snyder talked about, and this is because the movie is set to be shot this fall in the September, October, November range.
Where's my title?
Which I know, right? Which makes sense, right? Next year we are getting, or this year we're getting just one Marvel movie, just Deadpool, Wolverine, which should be a big hit. Next year we're getting Cap for Fantastic Four, Thunderbolts, and then Blade. Is Blade even filming right now? Where are we at with Blade? Anyways, Blade is supposed to be coming out next November. So 2025 is clear, but Sony still has that freaking summer release date. And we heard they want to get Spider-Man 4 into that summer release date next year. I don't think that's possible anymore. And especially with this news that they want to be filming in late 2024 into probably 2025, it just seems like 2026 is going to be the way to go for Sony. There could be a scenario where we get Beyond the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 4 in 2026. That would be a great year for Spider-Man fans.
That's possible. I mean, 2018 gave us Infinity War, Venom, and Into the Spider-Verse.
That's true. That was a lot of and Spider-Man
and the game.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was great. And even last year, right?
Yeah.
Even last year, we got Across the Spider-Verse and Spider-Man 2. So we have a lot of Spider-Man stuff just last year alone, too. So, yeah. And then I bring that up because Justin Lin was one of the directors circling around the project. He's not confirmed. He's not rumored or anything. It's just that he was one of a couple directors. The other ones have not been named. But Justin Lin was just one of the other ones floated around for Spider-Man 4. Because again, this is in the past because what's his name? John Watts, who directed the Spider-Man trilogy of Homecoming, Far From Home, and No Way Home, he is not coming back for Spider-Man 4, as far as we know. Actually, yeah, he's busy doing other movies. I think he's doing like this one Brad Pitt movie coming out later this year.
Hmm.
No, wait, no, that's somebody else. I don't know what John Watts is doing. I know he's executive producing the Final Destination movie coming out next year.
Oh,
But I don't know if he's directing a future Marvel movie because he was supposed to be attached to Fantastic Four, right? But then he got pushed out.
yeah.
Um, who is doing Fantastic Four? Is that Shankman, Matthew Shankman?
Matt Shackman, yeah.
Yeah. But anyways, what do you think for the possibility, the small possibility of Justin Lin doing a Spider-Man 4?
It's not a bad choice. He is a good director. I really enjoy what he's brought to Fast and Furious. Even if some people feel the franchise is a little far gone, can't deny his early stuff has been a blast. I mean, he did the 3 through 6, didn't he? And 9.
He did 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I think 3 through 9. Or 3 through 6 and then 9. I think that's right.
Yeah.
I think that's right. Yeah.
It's pretty good. I mean, I would just hope it means that we'll get a bit more energy into the Spider-Man films, like specifically like swinging and such. I want a bit more involved fluidity in the acrobatics of Spider-Man and more like cityscapes.
I feel that way too. And of course, the interesting thing about Spider-Man 4 is that like it's a new period in Parker's life. And funny enough, I don't usually do this. I don't usually do this, but I was listening in on Snyder and Rocha's podcast when this news was dropping. I thought it was pretty interesting. And they were talking about like, is this Tom Holland's last go around for Spider-Man? Now, I don't know where they were getting their ideas from, but I'm pretty sure we're still getting our college trilogy. Because from their perspective, they were like, Tom seems very, very like Spider-Man out, and he wants to do a lot of other things. Like he's
just so old now.
I know, right? But he's doing he's doing some Broadway stuff this year. He's got the Romeo and Juliet stuff coming out later this year. He's doing some Apple stuff recently. People are thinking like, oh, is he really Spider-Man out? I don't think that's the case. I think he's always going to be a huge Spider-Man fan. I think just a couple of years ago, he says he wants to be Spider-Man forever.
But I think it's just like, as long as he has some variety of like different other projects that he could do, it will keep him from being burned out of just constantly playing Spider-Man.
I agree. And I think that's the perspective I had too. Because I think even an actor like Chris Evans probably felt this way during the middle of his tenure as Captain America. Because again, him and Robert, they went on for close to a decade as their characters. And I think for Tom Holland, he first started in 2016. And then Spider-Man 4 is going to be 10 years as Spider-Man, which is crazy to think about if it comes out in 2026. So he's going to be like the longest running MCU character / actor. Yeah. So it just
unless you count Toby. Unless you count Hugh Jackman.
Not really, because they were out of the game for too long. And then they just
I mean, Tom has gaps, doesn't he? Maybe not. Never mind. He really doesn't.
Because Tom's going to be having to do this
he had 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, and now.
Yeah, that's a lot. And again, if this comes out in 2026, we have the whole Secret Wars or Avengers right now. Currently, they have Avengers King Dynasty happening in May 2026. So he would, of course, have to be in that, maybe. And then Secret Wars.
You mean main character hero leader Peter Parker?
I know, right? Yeah, yikes. That's not happening. So you never really know. He's going to be doing a lot of Spider-Man just outside of his MCU, outside of his Spider-Man projects. He'll be doing both Avengers movies too. And then, of course, Spider-Man 5 and Spider-Man 6. Spider-Man 6, I think he has to be done. Like after Spider-Man 6, I would be done too if I'm Tom Holland. I don't think he's going for
That's
a
when he
third.
dies and Miles takes over.
Exactly. That's when they get Doc Ock to come in there and kill him.
They're gonna fucking sit Superior Spider-Man his ass, and Alfred Molina is gonna do monologues in his brain.
You still think it's gonna happen in Spider-Man 3, Superior Spider-Man?
I didn't think that was gonna happen. I just said it wouldn't be a bad idea of a movie.
I think that'd be terrible.
Horrendous. No, it could work.
Awful.
Terrible, horrible, no good, very bad. I get
it. Speaking of horrible titles, yeah, that was ridiculous. There's also this rumor that came out weeks ago now. This is a very far-fetched rumor regarding Peter Parker's persona in Spider-Man 4, and it was about how he's becoming less attached as Peter Parker. All he has going for him is that he's going to keep on being Spider-Man, whether the city loves him or not. In the title, Spider-Man is going to consume his identity little by little, and Peter Parker will take a back seat. Now, this is a rumor. I don't necessarily believe this. Would you like it if that was the case? That doesn't really fit, for me at least, where Spider-Man 4 would go, given Spider-Man 4, for me at least, seems like a reboot or rejuvenation of the character after No Way Home. And for him to be like less and less Peter Parker-y, it's kind of the opposite where I thought it would go. I don't know.
I mean, I could kind of see it with like everything attached to Peter Parker himself being completely erased from his life. I can see how you would just cling on to what he does have control over, which is the personification of Spider-Man and who he is there. Whereas like he's building little by little up Peter Parker now. Like he has to reinvent himself basically.
And that's the interesting part for me. He's going to college. He's going to have to reinvent himself, which is why instead this feels like a rejuvenation of Peter Parker, where it's like, where does Peter go from here outside of the confines of what he has been used to, having all these MCU connections and relationships like with Happy and everybody like that. He's gonna be on his lonesome. But this kind of reminded me as well, during this whole Spider-Man 4 picking up steam kind of scenario happening, Zendaya is also again reinforced. She didn't reinforce, but the trades are reinforcing that Zendaya will return for Spider-Man 4.
Yeah.
Where are you at in your stage of like, where do you think she could possibly fit in a Spider-Man 4? Is she gonna? Well, sorry to interrupt, but I made a theory of that, like she could be in it as much as she was in Dune Part 1, right? Where they marketed her heavily, and she was in a lot of the flashbacks. She has like one scene with Timmy towards the very end. Like she was on set for like a week for Dune Part 1. She could have that kind of screen time for Spider-Man 4. I think that would be fine.
Yeah, that I would like, because it seems like as we've gone on through time, it's like that's Zendaya still coming back, and I'm like, why? And I love Zendaya, but for the story, why? So I mean, if she were to come back and it's only like that little bit, that would be nice. I mean, honestly, if they wanted to just do like Peter has a memory thinking back on a scene, and it's a new scene, but it's just like it's in the past, that would be cool. I wouldn't mind that. But her to just completely like pop back in her life when she's supposed to be going to school in Boston, and he just lost everybody, and like, oh, she's already incoming. Like he just made the decision. I'm not gonna tell her who I really am, and then she's coming right back into the fold. It always sounded weird to me. But if they were to play it as like very minuscule and just like a crumb and a stepping stone for her return in the 5th film, I wouldn't mind that.
That's a great idea, Nathan. I just had a whole, like, that kind of gave me an idea of like her appearing throughout the film, but not in the present day, through a collection of flashbacks that he has had with her, and having all new original scenes. Like he's going to college, he's going to meet other women in his life, but he could be like consistently flashing back to scenes that he's had with MJ throughout their times that we haven't seen as an audience. Just to reinforce how much he misses her and the change going on in his life. That could be very interesting if they did that correctly.
Here's the trouble. here's the trouble: is they start properly dating in Far From Home, and the ending of Far From Home and the beginning of No Way Home are interlinked, one right next to each other. So there's not much gap.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, I mean the best you got is just like filling in the school year, but that's also like during the whole time where like the whole world also knows he's Spider-Man, so we just have to like angle around that again. I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, if they want to just like have more scenes of them on the roof of the school, which is apparently their main spot.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Because yeah, you're right. Like, wasn't there some time during No Way Home, like that they skipped through time a little bit? Am I wrong?
There was definitely a brief period where like they showed his like first day at school, and then Peter ends up. They do the whole montage of like if whether or not they're going to get into MIT, and that's going on through Halloween. Like it's just after Halloween, but leading into Christmas, and that's where the most of No Way Home takes place.
So
there's just like a first half of the school year.
Yeah, first quarter, first semester. So yeah, there could still be some time, but yeah, I'm just very curious to see how he does it. They could pull like I don't know, he just swings through her college and then just like look at her from afar, that kind of cliche.
Yeah.
But yeah,
You mean they made a Spider-Man too?
Yeah, basically, any superhero character ever has done that.
Has longed.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right.
Honestly.
And is it creepy? It doesn't matter. It's a story.
Doesn't matter. Sticking with some MCU stuff, Nathan's pal, Nathan's friend, Nathan's ally. Samuel? What?
He's probably an ally.
Yeah.
Am I going with who I think you're going with?
Sam Raimi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the boy.
That's the goat. It's just a little short comment he made. He of course, I saw a lot of Sam Raimi quotes. Where's this coming from? What came out recently that's Sam Raimi related? I don't know.
I mean, he produces a lot.
He produces a lot, so maybe they asked him something. But they asked him about Secret Wars, and they said, they haven't asked me yet. I hope they do. End quote. He also confirmed that there's no progress being made on a sequel to Spider-Man 3, his Spider-Man 4. There's no movement on that happening at all, which, of course, he says that every other year. That movie's never happening, guys. Even though we did talk about it on our last podcast about like the possibilities of that. So if you want to listen to like what Spider-Man 4 was supposed to be, all these other theories and stuff like that,
what we
watch
think
our
it would
last
be now.
episode. Yeah, exactly. Because we talked a lot about that.
And also, where's my talks of Amazing Spider-Man 3, guys? Hello?
I know, right? Everybody just keeps forgetting about that. That seems way more interesting for me than Spider-Man 4, honestly. Like,
yeah.
Andrew's Dark Days, like, give me that. That sounds fun. But yeah, Sam Raimi, they have no director yet for Secret Wars. Do they even have one for King Dynasty yet?
It was Daniel Destin Cretton, but he left.
He left. Okay. Oh wait, didn't they get did they get Shankman for Dynasty? Am I wrong?
I don't think so. He's only ever been attached to Fantastic Four and Star Trek 4.
Kane Dynasty, new director. I thought somebody else came on board for that. Am I wrong? I think you're right. It just says Daniel Cretton is left. Daniel Cretton is left. Daniel Cretton is left. I thought somebody else came in. Oh wait, yeah, here it is. Michael Waldron, right?
Waldron as director?
Yeah. Oh wait, no, you're right. Michael Waldron's just writing.
Isn't he just writer?
He's a new writer for the movie. Yeah. So they got a new writer. They still have no new director. Which is crazy. Again, I bring this up because Disney just like firmly planted some new release dates literally last week. I didn't put it in our show notes because it's just release dates. But they're all for like 2026, and they still have Kang Dynasty coming out May 3rd, 2026, that first week in May. And I'm like, that means you're supposed to start shooting the next Avengers movie next year, which doesn't even seem plausible to me. granted, we haven't seen any of the 2025 movies, but are the 2025 movies of Thunderbolts, Blade, Fantastic Four, and Captain America, are those 4 films alone going to help us set up Avengers, the next Avengers? I don't think so. So I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I guess
don't be surprised if Avengers. What?
I guess you are also building off of shows, but I don't know.
But we're not even getting that much shows anymore from Marvel. They kind of like petered out on shows. We're only getting like the witch shit. What's her name?
Agatha.
That's coming out.
The witch shit.
That's coming out this year. I don't even know what the other
focus, motherfucker.
Great movie.
Bibbidi boppity boo looking ass.
Okay, I'm not roasting her.
All right.
But yeah, I forget. I think that show is coming out. Ironheart might be delayed till next year, even though they finished filming like years ago now.
Where is it? Armor Wars, are you okay?
Armor Wars.
You're a movie now?
Yeah, Armor is supposed to be a movie now. Like literally, they pumped the brakes big time on their MCU shows. We were getting like 3 to 4 a year. Now it's just like 1 or 2.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, back to Sam Raimi here. He expressed interest in doing Secret Wars. We still have no director for Secret Wars. We talked about it in the past. I think he'll be a great fit, and I think you do too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was seeing some people fucking going after Raimi again for Multiverse of Madness.
I saw a lot of controversy again. I'm like,
I saw a big tweet. I saw a big tweet blowing up that was like, "Oh, he doesn't understand the character of Wanda. Didn't even watch WandaVision." I'm like, motherfucker. All right, first off, even if that were true, which it isn't, your grievance has to be with the writer of it, which is Michael Waldron. And also, like, yeah, there's like, people have a viewpoint that they just like did the arc of WandaVision again, which is like couldn't be farther from the fucking truth. If anything, it would be like WandaVision was like overcoming like grief, whereas Multiverse of Madness was more so like a lapse into addiction with the Darkhold. It's a whole different thing. Like it's overcoming your inner self, but it's just different sides of the spectrum.
Exactly, and I think people always complain about that, but you didn't hear a word from what's her Wanda actress, Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth? Yeah.
She loved her character arc in that movie. She said she had so much fun with the range that Wanda went on in that movie. I'm not the biggest Multiverse of Madness fan. I saw it once; it was fine. My only complaint was that like I felt the arc was fine for me. I just felt like going from WandaVision to that was too fast. I would have liked some a nicer progression.
Like seeing the corruption before it being full force.
Yeah, exactly. Because again, for me at least, when I finished WandaVision season 1, I'm like, okay, corruption is in the future. She still has not fully gone over the grief of losing her children. I wouldn't either. But next time we see her, she's like full on, I got you now, Doctor Strange, give me your life, basically. I was like, oh shit.
Right.
Which again, it works for the movie because the movie has to be at level 100. So I get it there. And also, given the whole circumstances with Marvel TV and Marvel movies back then, when they were going way too fast with their production, Sam Raimi didn't have time to watch all of WandaVision. I don't even know if they were finished yet. WandaVision came out in 2020, 2021?
2021.
2021. Yeah. Spring 2021. Multiverse was like May 2022. So he had time to watch it physically. But like when you're writing the show, when you're directing a movie, which films the year prior, you don't have time to watch a show that is still being completed. So I don't think the logistics matched up for that either, unless you want to do full reshoots, which again weren't happening at the time or reshoots did happen, but it's like you can't go change your entire arc even if you wanted to. And then I think because the article, or sorry, not the article, the tweet thread that you were reading, I think was also about like if he doesn't understand Wanda, how is he going to understand 10 plus characters in an Avengers movie? And people had the same arguments against the Russos, where it's like, oh, he doesn't understand, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, or yeah, remember the Russos hate the Hulk, and it's like all this kind of shit, and it's like, okay, whatever. So
and I know full well Sam likes these characters, and he's read these comics, but that's also another interesting factor is like people want like will they be up to the adaptations, and it's like, motherfucker, if you think any of these MCU people are like one for one from the comics, you're out of your gourd. Not even
gourd.
Especially Wanda. It's like, you think Wanda's fucking worrying about mutants and her fucking Magneto father in the MCU? Absolutely not.
Yeah, anybody who has adaptation complaints with the MCU doesn't know what kind of franchise they're watching. This MCU has never been about like adapting the character in an effective way, because the MCU has always been so different. That's why fans like me get upset when Feige's like, oh yeah, this is the 616 universe. Like, no, the fuck it isn't. Like, stop it.
Iman's blowing up his phone.
Exactly. Like, no, Iman has it right. Like, this is just completely different interpretation of the characters that do mirror the comics. And at times, the comics mostly have been mirroring the movies adaptation of the characers.
Yeah, especially Iron Man looks just like the movies now. He didn't.
Exactly. He didn't before. Exactly. Yeah. Things have changed. So yeah, that just happens all the time.
But then it gets funny when like No Way Home takes a storyline like one more day, and people are like, why the fuck would you adapt that? Oh, they made it good.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. They didn't call it Spider-Man One More Day.
No.
But they made it good.
But also, god damn it, if they were to call the fourth Spider-Man like Spider-Man No More and he quit being Spider-Man, that would be fun. This feels like a good time for him to do that.
So yeah, that's what's going on with Sam Raimi, Peter Parker stuff. I'm trying to see if there's any other comic book stuff that we can stick on here. Oh yeah, Fantastic Four. Let's get into this. This happened this week. We're going back and forth between weeks, but here we go. Julia Garner. Let me just say those words again. Julia Garner, who I am a huge fan of because I love Ozark to death. Ozark was still a top 5, probably top 3 Netflix series for me. There's Mindhunter, there's Arcane back at number 1 and 2, and then there's Ozark for me, number 3. I love this series so much, and Julia Garner is going to appear in next year's Fantastic Four as the Silver Surfer, not as a gender-bent Norrin Radd character. She's going to be playing what's her name? Shala Ball version of the character, who I wasn't really familiar with prior to this week. I've heard about other interpretations of Silver Surfer in the past. I just never took the time to do research about said character. What was your initial reaction to this?
I was like, hey, cool. Well, my initial reaction was like, oh, Alden tagged me in chat. Because me and him have been championing his idea of Mackenzie Davis playing the Silver Surfer,
which would have been awesome.
or otherwise. Absolutely. So then they went with this casting, and I was like, hey, cool. I wasn't very familiar with her. I hadn't seen her in Ozark. I saw that fucking screaming clip that I shared in chat. That's all I've seen. I was like, holy shit.
You're going to have to kill me! Would you believe that's episode 1 of the final season? You're just like,
no, it's not.
If this is episode 1, what's going to happen? Yeah.
That's like Ozymandias, like 3 to go.
Exactly.
It's not.
Yeah, that was episode 1.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Damn. I heard nothing but great things about Ozark. That's probably going to be my next, like, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul level, like, devotion watch.
It's a brutal show. Not brutal, but just like, it's a very dark, depressing show. I remember my dad always texting me like, I don't know if I can continue watching this, because when things get too dark for my dad, he doesn't really go through with it as much. He quit watching Breaking Bad after You Know Who Dies by Walter. Yeah. He was like, that's just too dark for me. I'm like, I get it, but like the following seasons are getting even better for the show. But then, yeah, something happens in like season 2. He was like, this is crazy. I'm like, but you got to keep on watching. It's great. But yeah, Julia Garner is fantastic. I like that they're doing this for the character. And I think it reveals a lot about the movie. So first things first, I did a lot of research about the character in terms of like her relationship to Nora and Rad and the animated
Mhm.
series stuff like that. I've seen some clips now.
Huh.
But I think this goes along with some rumors. So if people don't want to listen to this, spoiler warning. It's for Fantastic Four. There's some rumors out there. I don't really give a shit
Mm.
because it doesn't matter to me at least. But if you want to go in completely blind, yeah, thank you, Nathan. There are rumors that this movie we already know doesn't take place in modern day. We know it takes place given the photograph, the official poster that takes place in the 1960s era, the space race era.
Yeah.
But other rumors have confirmed. Other rumors have stated that it takes place in an alternate dimension as well, or different
This
universe. Not
this was given
dimension.
a bit right. This was given a bit more credence when they dropped a new look at the Human Torch in a poster, and you can see the New York he's flying over is like it's a bit more technologically different architecture of the skyline.
Completely, dude. And yeah, that kind of goes along with it too. Because I think that poster came out and then the rumors started flying like, yes, and this does take place in a different multiverse, which again is why we're getting a different version of Silver Surfer as well. That way, when we get to our normal MCU universe, they can still do the Norman Rad character of Silver Surfer in just a different event outside of this. So yeah, the big rumor is that we will see Charlotte Ball's character. They will still be fighting Galactus. But this is going to be in a different universe of the MCU. Just things similar to like how 838 was a very prominent thing in Doctor Strange too. And other rumors are as well is like we're going to be seeing the kids of like Franklin Richards and all that kind of stuff in this movie as well
Oh
because
shit!
they will already be a full-fledged team in the 1960s, similar to how the MCU have now become celebrities. The Fantastic Four will be celebrities of their era / time period as well. Like the Baxter Building will be a very prominent stuff, and they'll be like living the high life. Wow. They would have already been a team for a long time. This is an origin story for the team, which kind of makes sense because again, we're tired of Fantastic Four space origin bullshit. Or in Fantastic's case, whatever the hell they were doing in that origin, which I didn't really mind. It was kind of pretty cool, for the most part.
We'll commentate that soon.
Yeah, for sure. So that's what's happening with that, and that just seemed very interesting to me. And then, of course, similar to what we got into with the Captain Marvel post-credit scene with Homegirl being stuck in a different dimension. I think all these characters are going to be in different dimensions in different movies and make their way into the MCU, leading into Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars again.
Yeah.
Multiverses collide and interact, and then after Secret Wars, everything gets a clean slate, and then the X-Men can come in, and we can get some good shit finally. I can't wait. So yeah, there's also a rumor that the X-Men movie will start like deep production next year, which I don't think makes sense. I think anything X-Men related will start post Secret Wars. So yeah. Speaking of, so yeah, that's done. Spoiler warning, if that was even a spoiler. But speaking of X-Men, have you been watching X-Men 97, Nathan?
Not yet, but I've seen some clips here and there, and God, it looks good.
It's really good. Jalen and I have not watched the latest episode of X-Men 97. But we're 3 episodes in and we're having a complete blast with the show. I was going to rewatch the entire 90s run or certain episodes of the 90s run because I forget it's been so long. But I was like, fuck it. I've heard too much stuff. I don't want to get spoiled for future episodes. So I'll just start now. And it's a clean slate. If you were like me and you didn't want to watch X-Men 97 because of spoilers
5 seasons.
Yeah, there's like 5 seasons of the 90s, 4 or 5 seasons of the 90s ones. I don't think it's necessary. They explain a lot of the character dynamics and the experiences in that first episode. It is a clean slate given what happened in the X-Men 90s finale before it got the reboot. So it's a clean slate. The character dynamics are fun, interesting, and explored in ways that are fresh and not like hey, you should have watched our prior series. Like, yeah, there are things that go left unsaid, but there's a new story arc, and the team just moves on from there. So, I'm having a blast with it. It's really well done. The character moments are very emotional. The action's great. It's done by Studio Perio. No, Studio Mir. Studio Mir, who did, of course, Legend of Korra. They did the Witcher animated movies. So, Studio Perio, Studio, what?
Didn't they do some Star Wars Visions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They did Journey to the Dark Head. Right. Which was season 2, episode 5 for Visions. Which is, I think that's your favorite episode, right?
Yeah, the anime one.
Yeah, the anime with the deep anime one. So yeah, Studio Mir is just fantastic. And
I was like, what a great pilot.
I know. Again, for those Visions episodes, it's like, give me 10,000 more episodes with this team. I need it right now. So that's exciting. I brought this up though because SP97 is getting fantastic reviews. I think it's one of the most highest rated shows of the year in general for 2024. Nathan, my question posed to you: how long will it be until we get a sequel to the animated Spider-Man?
Don't give me hope. Oh, dude, I want it so bad. I think the creator himself was like asked about it, and he was like, "They just have to call." So he wants to do it, and I'm just like, man, I want it so bad. Like the only like inkling I would have ever seen of like any form of a continuation for there is like, and maybe he'll get a quick spotlight and Beyond the Spider-Verse or something like that. But if it's possible for them to at least get just like one wrap-up season, that's all I need.
Me too. And I think honestly, with the success of X-Men 97, which I think is going to go on for, I don't think it's just going to end with this one season. I think they're going to continue going with X-Men 97. I wouldn't know why not.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So I think with the success of this, of rebooting a classic beloved show, honestly, I think the animated Spider-Man was on par with, maybe even more popular than the X-Men series. So if they reboot that show as well, I think that will get a lot of fan attention with new animation. Because we always talk about how like they move like this and they talk like this in the animated show. Like they're so stoic a lot of the time, and the frames are terrible. But it's a fun show. Some very heartfelt moments. I think by putting it into a modern era would be very interesting.
Absolutely.
I think it's very plausible.
I've been so impressed by like how well they were able to emulate the look, because you can tell that they have in different instances use 3D models that are mapped on the character designs, but they're very smart about, they weren't just, because I see this in animation all the time when they use a 3D model, they'll just like rig it to go from one position to the next and have it animate, and they'll render it through, and it's like super fluid compared to the other like different frames of 2D animation. They actually like frame by frame it how it should naturally look, just like Spider-Verse does.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah. Because even you're much more knowledgeable about animation process than I am, but even I'm looking at it like, man, they emulated the 90s feel so well, but also keeping it in like that 3D brush as well. It's very interesting. I don't know how they got it. Like I would really want to see some behind the scenes. Like they do like the making of a lot of other Disney Plus shows. I'm like, do that.
Oh yeah, this would be my fastest watch of behind the lens stuff.
Yeah, I would love it. So I definitely. What
do they call these shows? They always have like the same name for each show.
I don't know, what do they fucking call it. I stopped watching them honestly because it got very much samey and they weren't really talking about much.
What was every episode just like we're here day one on set? It's like, oh, it's just so cool being in the costume. Like, oh, I got a costume.
Yeah, it's like I think the Book of Boba Fett one was really trash. They were just like, oh, we're just doing nothing. Yeah. We're just chilling. I'm having fun playing.
Just doing nothing. We're in the desert.
Yeah, it wasn't fun for me. And then I think the Falcon and Winter Soldier one was just like, yeah, we're having fun on set. I love this guy. I'm like, okay, I'm not learning anything from the process.
I'm not learning anything. I
This
do
is
miss
bullshit.
like when I miss what I mean. That the whole reason I got into wanting to be a filmmaker was from behind the scenes making ofs and just like yeah, we're deep in the thick of character design and we're sending like 20 designs to George and he's highlighting the 7 he wants.
So yeah, I definitely again I think it's a real possibility that we could get some animated Spider-Man stuff happening in the near future. Of course, we still do have Spider-Man freshman neighborhood, whatever it's called, freshman year.
Freshman year, but I think it's been changed to Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, that's why I was confused with the title because I think they changed it a couple of times, but that's still coming out soonish. I think it's finished. It might be coming out later this year. I'm not sure. But
I think at this rate, and I wouldn't be surprised with the success of 97, which also is very like its own thing and not MCU connected. Because I know this Spider-Man show was already supposed to be kind of like a like alternate reality-ish break off of the MCU, but now if they wanted to just like full blown have an original thing running, they could, and it would probably work out.
Exactly. So I think they have that coming out for them. They have the Marvel Zombies coming out as well. And then yeah, you never really know what's next for Marvel animation in there. Looking at some other news here, keeping it in the comic book realm, Greg Gillespie is rumored to direct Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. This is interesting because a couple of weeks back we talked about a new writer coming on board for Supergirl. Let me go back here. Who was the writer for Supergirl that we talked about? Let's see here. Yeah, I can't find it. but anyways, there's a new writer coming on board. I think she did another DC project, and now she's doing Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow. But now for director wise, we have Greg Gillespie, who did Dumb Money last year, which I wasn't really a big fan of, but he made Cruella and I, Tonya, which I'm a huge fan of. I, Tonya it got Allison Janney an Oscar win. And then Cruella got one Oscar for, of course, best costumes because the costumes were immaculate in that movie.
I really enjoyed Cruella.
Me too. I think Cruella was a huge surprise because I was kind of worried, like, how far can they go with this character? But they made it wholly their own, very unique, and didn't want to. It wasn't anything cookie cutter about Cruella. It wasn't trying to be 101 Dalmatians live action or anything like that. It was a very big character study on Cruella as a character with some amazing costumes, and of course made all the better by a great performance from Emma Stone. So I really loved her in that. And then I think Greg has a good eye for this as well to adapt Tom King's Woman of Tomorrow comic run. And also we have Millie Alcock, who is just fantastic in House of the Dragon. And they say, the article says here, that this movie is slated to start filming at the end of this year, quarter 4 2024. So that's going into early next year as well, in movie speak as well. So late this year, early next year, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow is starting to film. This is interesting because I think we talked about like the weird filming schedule for the DC universe moving forward because they're going one movie at a time in terms of Superman coming out is still filming this year and is coming out next year. But what's the film after that?
Yeah.
And I think this might be it.
I think I had said before, like if Superman is a big hit, which I think it will be, and they want to like keep riding the high off of that, but also still with the same iconography of Krypton and whatnot, immediately falling into Supergirl, flowing in, that would be great. I wonder. I think we talked about that too. Wondering how the story itself would go, like if any scenes would be on Earth where Cal and Kara could interact.
Oh, in Superman's film,
either in Superman or Supergirl.
Yeah, we did talk about that because that's we don't really know. Like we're gonna see her in Superman, and then we're gonna go through a whole flashback movie in Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, because it seems very like Interstellar. Like she's going through a lot of different planets and realms and shit. In Woman of Tomorrow, so it's like, how is that going to work? Because it is kind of like an origin tale for her character. So I'm very curious to see what James is cooking. And yeah, we talked about like we know in the slate we have Superman, Supergirl, Swamp Thing, and the Batman movie with Robin. And then the Nightwing or the Teen Titans was also announced recently as well. We talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
I think
That's
tentative. Yeah, that's just movies. Yeah, TV. So there's even like 5 more stuff going on in there with Green Lantern, the Wonder Woman, the Mascara Warriors show, the
Booster Gold,
Booster Gold,
Creature Commandos.
Creature Commandos, which might be like this year or early next year.
It's supposed to be the first thing.
Yeah, exactly. So we could get it. Yeah, late this year.
Blue Beetle 2.
And Blue Beetle 2.
Two Beetle.
Two Beetle too much.
Yeah.
So yeah. So I think in my head we're getting Superman next year, Woman of Tomorrow right after that, and then I think the third movie will be the Batman movie. They really want to get started on that Batman movie. And then I guess in terms of scheduling for the DC stuff, we kind of got a slight hint about Swamp Thing, where James Mangold, I don't know if he said it or maybe some other reporters claimed that after he films his, not Bob Marley, what's the movie that he's doing with Timothy Chalamet that's filming right now?
Bob Dylan?
Bob Dylan.
What the fuck? Timothy Chalamet is Bob Marley?
Oh no!
20 tickets right now. I have to see the biggest fuck up in movie history.
Oh man. Shit. That'd be peak. But they did claim that he's doing his Star Wars.
Inform that he's gotten 5 nominations.
Oh god. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, so the trades did say that he's filming the Dawn of the Jedi movie before Swamp Thing. So Swamp Thing is coming out very, very late in the game for James Gunn's DC universe. So I think the Supergirl, the Batman stuff will happen, the Nightwing stuff, or the Teen Titans stuff will happen all before that. But yeah, so again, I'm very happy with the Greg Gillespie rumor here. It's not official. But it did come from Deadline, and it was supported by Variety and The Hollywood Reporter as well. So at the very least, Greg Gillespie had a lot of deep talks with James Gunn, and we'll see if it officially comes out when they're ready to announce that. But just in general, I'm super, 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 super excited for Supergirl. And I already was, because the Woman of Tomorrow run by Tom King just seemed very interesting, like an intergalactic origin story with Supergirl seems very cool. But then the Millie Alcock casting really blew up my excitement levels for this movie. So I cannot wait to see it. So a couple other things to get into here in terms of casting. Katie O'Brien has been cast in Mission Impossible 8, which is currently filming as we speak.
Nice.
You love this?
MCU star Katie O'Brien.
No.
I mean, she is.
MCU from what?
She was in Ant-Man in the Wasp: Quantumania.
What?
Yeah, she's like the
one. No, yes. She was an alien creature, right?
Not I mean Quantum.
She was like an alien. She wasn't human, was she?
I mean, you look at her, she is. But I guess not.
I guess not. I don't know.
Quantumonium.
Yeah. She had some cool scenes with the Wasp child. What's her name?
The Wasp, the Ant Child.
The Ant Child.
Her Cassie.
What's Cassie's name?
Cassie number 3.
What's Cassie's nickname? What's her superhero name?
She has one.
Stinger? What?
Might? I don't know. Hold on. I'll look it up.
Thank you. But I mean, I know her. Of course, she's in. Now I remember her in Ant-Man. But of course, she was most recently also in The
Oh,
Mandalorian season 3. What?
Cassie's hero name is Stature.
Stature. I knew there was the S. I was like, Stinger? It doesn't sound right. Stature. But she didn't go by
I was going
Stature
on
in
the
the
wrong
movie.
end of the spectrum. No, not at all. But she did get super big, so that works.
Yeah.
Super big in the quantum realm, which okay.
The choices in that
It's
movie.
fine.
So weird.
I don't mind the science.
Oh, the science. I don't care about the science of it all. It's just like I can't really bask in the scale of it in the quantum realm. It didn't really match.
But Kang killed a Thor, allegedly, but not the ants.
Oh, boy,
I love Ant-Man, but like, all right.
Yeah, it's too much. There's too much.
He got lucky.
If you want to hear our review of Ant-Man and what they should have done with that movie, which I hate saying, like, hey, this is what they should have done with the movie. But
if you want to hear how I said, like, hey, if they actually made the movie marketed.
Exactly. That's basically what we were saying. We're not saying how they should have fixed it, but we're saying, like, this is the movie we thought we were going to see prior to actually seeing the movie. It could have been much more heartfelt than what we got with that movie. But Katie O'Brien in general is not a rising star. She's been in a lot of projects, but in the comic booky science fiction world, yeah, she's been in Ant-Man Quantumania. She was very prevalent in The Mandalorian season 3. She has some great episodes there. And then, of course, Love Lies Bleeding came out literally weeks ago. I love it. It's still my number 2 movie of the year. I think it's fantastic. Have you seen that yet, Nathan? Have you gone to see that yet?
Not just yet.
You're a failure. It's fine.
Wow. I'll cancel my second screening of Godzilla Kong.
Yes, as you should.
I'm not going. I'm taking my nephew.
Sure you are. You can just admit you're going again, Nathan. It's okay.
I am going again with my nephew. I would go again on my own. I actually have an itch. I kind of want to watch it again.
Nice. So wait.
I'm ugly and I'm proud.
Let's backtrack this. You were scared for your nephew.
I knew you were fucking saying that shit. As I was fucking changing the garbage today, I was like, I'm just gonna call me out on some shit. It's just like this such fucking there's fucking animal torture in that movie, goddammit. You can't tell me there isn't. Versus fucking silly kaiju fights. Shut up.
If people don't know what we're talking about, Nathan was.
I know.
Nathan was scared.
I watched it happen. I saw it happen.
He was scared to show his nephew Guardians Volume 3. Yeah, you were. You were asking me.
Scared. That's a strong word.
Oh my
God. This podcast, motherfucker.
Guardians 3, the darkest MCU movie.
I mean,
come on.
I mean,
just show the
I wouldn't say the darkest, but top 3 darkest.
That's ridiculous.
What name 3 MCU movies darker other than Infinity War?
Damn it.
Which is like, even if that's one, you need 2 more.
I don't know. I mean, you show Wakanda Forever? That's kind of sad. It's a sad MCU flick.
It's sad. It's more sad than anything. Yeah. No, I don't think we got there yet.
But I'm glad
the MCU's hard these days.
Yeah, I know. But I'm glad he's seeing fucking kaiju have sex on screen. It's great.
That didn't happen.
It didn't happen? I saw it happen. Don't tell me it didn't.
Where? What site did you do? What Reddit thread were you under?
Hey, yo.
I know what subreddit you're on.
So that's funny. But we will be talking about Godzilla X Kong coming up here soon as we finish up these movie topics. So yeah, Katie O'Brien, Mission Impossible 8. Not much to go on there because we have zero clue what character she's playing in Mission Impossible 8. But my prerogative is she got announced from the trades in the middle of filming Mission Impossible 8. I don't think she's going to have a prevalent scene. She's probably going to be either, working for the government against Ethan, or she's going to be in one meeting scene. Either way, she's going to
She
have
could
like 1 to
have as
2
much of
scenes.
a she could have probably as much of a role as Palm Clementine had.
Oh, I think even less than that. I think Palm was a prominent factor in that movie. I don't think she's going to be. I think she's going to be in some boardrooms saying we should go after him.
No,
Yeah,
I don't think just that. I don't think you get Katie O'Brien just to do that.
I don't know. Again, she came so late in the game here. This was announced last year, but like, okay, maybe we're cooking something, but I don't know. And of course, with the trades, it's not like she just got hired and she's just filming now. This probably has been happening.
She's not
But
Carrie Elwes though.
yeah, no, Carrie Ellis was again a
She's
prominent character.
and again, she's a very physically capable person. She's probably going to do a stunt of some kind.
I hope so. I don't know. I don't know. But I hope they utilize her physical capabilities for sure.
She's going to be the human physical manifestation of the entity, and Ethan's going to have to box her.
Physical manifestation of destiny.
What was that from?
Mrs. Possible Rogue Nation with Alec Baldwin.
Oh, that's right. That's
so fantastic. Let's continue on here. Ready or Not 2 is in the works. You've seen this movie, right? Ready or Not?
Yes, I've seen Ready or Not.
This is from Radio Silence, but Radio Silence is not coming back to direct. Samara Weaving will reprise her role. Adam Robitel will be directing. I remember when this first came out, I remembered what Adam Robitel did. I forget, but now I'm looking it up, and there we go. That's right. Okay. He did the Escape Room duology.
Was this Tournament of Champions?
Not a great line delivery there, Bob. But yeah, Ready or Not 2 is in the works. This makes sense. This has been rumored for quite some time. But the new part, again, here is Adam Robitel directing and not Radio Silence. I think Radio Silence did Ready or Not 1. Am I making that up?
Maybe Radio Silence, are they doing the new Screams?
No, Tyler Gillette and Matt. Yeah, that's right. That's Radio Silence, right? Tyler Gillette and Matt Bettinelli. They are not doing the next Scream movie. Remember, they did Scream 5 and 6, and then they left Scream 7 because they were doing Abigail and other stuff, and chaos happened.
Right.
Chaos.
Chaos.
So yeah, Adam Robitel, just real quick, I'm a huge fan of the escape room movies. They're very fun, and I think he has that kind of fun, chaotic energy. Bring that into Ready or Not, which is very fun, very chaotic, very fun movie, and just in general. I think he has the right sensibilities for Ready or Not. It's going to be different. I don't know. I was kind of hoping for Ready or Not 2 that it would be an anthology, similar to how like Final Destination movies kind of work. But Escape Room kind of like, I wasn't mad that the lead protagonist in the Escape Room movies, played by Taylor Russell, she continued in Escape Room 2. So they're doing a similar vein here where your lead actress in a horror franchise continues on in the sequel instead of doing the anthology. I don't know what Samara Weaving is going to do, though, because this one seems so like life and death. I have to get out of this house. Like, oh my gosh, I survived. Is she... Yeah. What's the big... Because the first one, again, she gets married to this weird family, and then they do some weird ritual, and then she has to survive. How is she going to contribute to another thing here? Like, I know she's returning, but are they going to do a thing where she helps save somebody else from going through another situation as her? And it's going to be like more of a two-hander in Ready or Not 2, maybe. I'm not sure. It just seemed very weird that she was returning for this, but I'm not upset about it. Samara Weaving in horror again. She's fantastic in that realm. She's a fantastic actress alone. So I'm on board with it. I can't see what the vision is for the movie itself. Yeah.
I'm questioning it myself. It was interesting how supernatural it got at the end.
Did it? I forget about that.
It did the very ending. Well, spoilers for Ready or Not. Like the whole crux was like the whole reason that family's doing this. Like they have to appease this fucking demon, or their family's gonna be fucked. Get sacrificed by by
Yeah,
daylight. Didn't happen, and then they all exploded.
that
And
was awesome.
the fucking demon sat there fucking like winked shit. Disappeared.
That was insane. That was insane. Yeah. So yeah, Ready or Not, it's a very fun movie. I recommend everybody go watch that. Before we close up here and talk about Godzilla, let's talk about some more big movie news here. Drew Goddard, straight from Nathan's thumbnail. Drew Goddard is doing Matrix 5. Wow, this was super surprising. WB basically making fun of themselves because everybody and their mother was posting the same Jonathan. I forget his last name. But the quote, Jonathan Groff. Thank you, Jonathan Groff quote from Mission Impossible 4 or Matrix 4. Not Mission Impossible.
Okay.
And it was very interesting because they're making fun of themselves because Jonathan Groff saying like it's inevitable. They're going to make it without us, and we're doing another movie. And it was kind of in the context of them doing Matrix 4 and doing all that kind of fun jabs by Lana Wachowski.
Yeah.
But where do we go from here, Drew? This seems very I'm not on board because I think Matrix 4 was a great resolution. But if I want to play devil's advocate with myself, Drew Goddard getting a crack at Matrix, a completely new original tale within the Matrix, not even touching Neo, Trinity, and those characters who shouldn't return because again, they had an excellent ending. A new original tale within the Matrix universe sounds interesting. It's just going to feel weird because it's not by a Wachowski. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, it's a loaded question, isn't it? Based on all the different prerogatives you're hitting.
Yeah.
I mean, in regards to the jokey meta narrative of that Matrix 4 clip, it's like I didn't really see that applying here when it was specifically applying to Matrix 4, but also like we're here watching it. It's kind of like a Scream situation where like they call out all their tropes that they're treading anyway, so that automatically absolves all criticism of cliche because it's like, yeah, we know.
Yeah.
And then it's in the back of your brain, it's like, but does that make it okay? Is this critic proof now?
Not really. I never thought it was, but yeah.
I mean, with Scream though, it's kind of like it's built off of that, like from the very first installment. Matrix isn't. But they went with the meta narrative here. I don't think that's continuing, but here I know like a lot of people are like, what do you mean 4 seems so conclusive? And to me, I was like, did it?
You don't think so?
Not I mean conclusive in like
for Neo and Trinity for sure.
Evil. I felt it was a one door closed, another open type deal because they specifically were like setting up the fact that Neo and Trinity are kind of full blown, not just like powerful, but effectively they were going to take the new role of architects of the Matrix and make it their own. And I think it would be kind of intriguing to explore what kind of world they would make, maybe, if we were getting the Matrix 5, which we are.
Yeah, they basically became gods within the realm of the Matrix by, like you said, defeating Neil Patrick Harris and saying like we want to remake it in our image, insert rock song, and yeah, so they get to recreate it, and yeah, I think you can still get what you're claiming here in terms of what world of the Matrix did they envision by still having them not be included. I think there's a way where you don't need Neo, you don't need Trinity. I think their story, again, has ended. The love they had for each other, the emotional weight of Matrix 4 was about them coming back together and reuniting, saving the world, kicking ass one last time. I don't know where else they could go as characters, where their relationship could possibly go in a Matrix 5. For Drew Goddard, and especially because it's not a Wachowski directing, Lana Wachowski is not coming back, I think... Mm-hmm. They are producing though, but I think to get Drew Goddard as much free reign as he possibly can for this franchise, go completely new, completely original character, completely different part of the timeline, like in the far future, something like that, where you're just not beholden to the Matrix that happened before. Even though the marketing is probably going to be very heavy on like, this is the world that has come before in the Matrix, and like they're going to appeal to the nostalgia. Probably that's how these franchises go these days. But for me, I just want it to be a completely original tale because the Matrix universe, it's so vast, so imaginative. It's literally one of the rare universes where, like we're talking about, you could do anything if you have the power. If you have the power to, at least. If you don't, you could just be stuck in the Matrix, and then you're under. Like, there's a catch and catch-22 with whatever, depending on your status within the Matrix. So
I don't really know what one does outside of the main story with the Matrix, because it seems like it's so placated and centered on the whole, like, it's a very biblical allegory with its storytelling, but it's so like a drive of destiny, but also free will, and like the struggle of that, and big old fighting holy war. Outside of that, are we just like, okay, here some random people here running from agents again? And it's like, okay, but like, what's the, not that there has to necessarily be a bigger picture, but like, what's my like in of like, continuing on to the story? What hooks me comparatively to the other Matrix films?
Yeah, because this seems like very much like it's just going to be a spin-off, completely unrelated, unattached to what came before. But again, if you're going to be directing this movie, what?
Yeah. But, I mean, in fairness, though, if we're looking for any type of a new story to explore with Neo and Trinity, I think it would be compelling to explore what their lives they live would be when they're finally broken away from the control of, like, the architect and the predetermined like fates and destinies and people to fight for and stuff like that. Like, just if they're at the top now, who are they outside of this thing that they were unexpectedly brought into and fighting for?
Fair.
But like, I don't like what is the life after the war?
That's a story that I don't need to be answered, though. It's something that I would love to ponder about, but I don't see the compelling 2-hour gotta go to the theater to see them just chilling and just like.
They would just be chilling. Obviously, there will be a conflict.
Like,
it's just
I can't envision the conflict though. It's like they're so powerful. They can change the world with their minds now. They're flying. They're like what can they? Who can stop them, kind of thing. Like who can be a compelling antagonist to their reign?
Well, I mean, an argument could be made that the antagonists could be themselves, because I imagine they would want to make a full paradise for the ones living. But they've said in past Matrices, like, we did that and it failed horribly because people need the bad to experience the good type deal. And like having to like physically bring yourself to the point of like, okay, we're forming this world and we have to inflict this pain on people, and just like having to wrestle with that, like playing God effectively. What kind of mindset does a mortal go through in that when you are a compassionate soul, when you weren't born into omnipotency?
That does sound interesting. But I keep going back to like, if I'm Drew Goddard and I got the ability to do a Matrix movie after 1, 2, 3, and 4, there's just not enough compelling stuff to go back to Neo and Trinity. I just don't think that's where you can go. Yeah, you have the whole world of the Matrix. And I do get your complaint though. It's like, yeah, the Matrix is vast, but where does other characters outside of there? Because like you said, 1, 2, 3, and 4 are so biblical, so symbolic. Where can you go outside of just getting another chosen one? It's so built around the idea of a chosen one. It's not like Star Wars where you can pick a different character and just say, hey, what are they doing now? What adventure can they go on now? You can't really do that in the Matrix because it's as vast as it is. it's also not vast. It's very weird.
Yeah.
Um,
I think
I don't
I
know.
think if I were to try to explore that idea outside of the main story, I would have to look. Something I still haven't watched, but I want to, is the Animatrix, which is a series of shorts set
Fair.
within it.
Yeah.
I do know of one, which is a really compelling one that I want to watch in full. Is like there's this Olympic runner who's like training and pushing himself to the absolute limits, and like he pushes himself so far that his consciousness is like starting to fade awake into the real machine world, and he's like blurring realities in his mind.
That seems awesome. But speaking of that, also another question is like, did Neo and Trinity, how did they affect the lives of everybody else living within the Matrix? It's like, are they there's no overlords anymore, right? There's nobody watching. I don't know. I gotta rewatch that. I gotta rewatch Matrix 4, but it's like, who's keeping people within the Matrix now?
Yeah, it's
Um,
what it is interesting because Resurrections introduced that there are Sentinels that are good now, like they're actually on our
yes.
side.
Yeah. We should do a commentary
Uh,
because we did 1, 2, and 3, right? But we never did 4.
yeah, we didn't get there yet, and I haven't watched it since 21,
Me
so
neither. Yeah.
I'm definitely due for a rewatch on that. No, that's not true. I watched it on a plane. I think I watched it on my flight to California for celebration. So that was fun. It's still been a couple of years.
Yeah. But lastly on this topic, I also don't think this is financially viable. The last one bombed in theaters. I think it had like a $150 million budget, maybe even higher because of marketing. And
No,
yes,
Evan,
it came out during
don't be
COVID.
rash.
Yeah.
It came out during COVID, and it was also the HBO day and date shit.
Yeah. But it didn't affect. Yeah, it affected a lot of movies in different ways. Kong and Dune were kind of like the big success stories of that era.
Yeah.
Like Suicide Squad failed miserably because of that, and definitely Matrix as well. It did gross like over 100 million, but it's like it did not make its money back. It made less than its budget. Who here is still excited for another Matrix movie, especially if it won't have Neo and Trinity in the characters that? I don't think people are excited for another Matrix movie. I don't think this franchise is that kind of franchise. People notoriously think that 2 and 3 are just bad movies. They think 4 is a bad movie. If 3/4 of your franchise are maligned, not by the fans, it's much more mixed online, but like for the regular audience, most people just don't like the Matrix outside of the first one.
It's
Is it just, I don't think this franchise is just ready for another one.
I don't know. I know it's like I'm seeing like a Star Wars parallel of kind of like people who grew up on the prequels loving the prequels nowadays, but back then they were ripped apart. Like a lot of people didn't like the second and third Matrix, and now a lot of people really like the trilogy as a whole. And of course, there's people who are like fuck Matrix 4 for whatever reason. But I'm sure like over time people will be like, man, how beautiful, they'll realize how beautiful the story was.
I hope, because I had fun with it too.
Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know. I think it'll depend when they want to release this movie as well. That'd be very curious. I think it'll be slaughtered over the summer. It would have to be a December release again. But where can you put a December movie these days where Avatar and Star Wars aren't right behind you? So,
I guess the beginning of the month, or maybe like a late Thanksgiving release.
probably a Thanksgiving release. That'd probably be the trick there. So yeah, outside of that, there was some quick Star Trek 4 news where once again they say that's still on the docket to reunite the 2009 J.J. Abrams cast. That is still set to be happening, but the next Star Trek movie will be taking place towards the beginning, I think. Let me see here. They said, they still want to do a final chapter for the 2009 cast. That is still happening. But there's another one. Oh gosh, I forget what it was. A new cast, an origin story to the franchise. And it'll take place in the earlier part of the timeline. So they have multiple Star Trek movies happening. I want to use this time to once again remind people to go watch Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Paramount Plus. It is a fantastic Star Trek series. Romantic, emotional, goofy, heartfelt, amazing, like anthology yet serial episodes.
Mm,
You
just
don't
like
have
you
to,
like it.
just like I like it. I love it. Very much like Avatar, Last Airbender kind of storytelling
It's
in there.
very Star Trek.
Very Star Trekky, exactly. It's so much fun. I love this cast so much, and what's it called? The way like each episode is like so visually different, in tone as well. Like they have a musical episode, they have a procedural law episode, a court case episode, yeah. And then just like go back in time kind of episode. So it's a very fun show. Even if you're not a huge Star Trek fan, I think Star Trek Strange New Worlds is for everybody. But once again, I am excited for the final chapter in the 2009 cast. Again, 2009. It's been so long with that cast. They really should just end.
15 years.
That's crazy. And a lot of them just moved on to different chapters in their lives. But everybody, including me, just wants one more movie with them, even if it's not similar to Matrix. It might not be financially viable anymore, but I think there's still room in the public conscience for a great Star Trek movie. And yeah, I'm excited for the other one. The other one seems to be happening first, the origin story movie. I was reading a whole Star Trek article about it, but I lost the article that I was looking at it for. Oh, there it is. I found the article. I just got to scroll up in my bookmarks. So yeah, the franchise is planning also a movie on Paramount Plus, which is very interesting. But let me see here. Let's see here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff about Star Trek Discovery, which is coming to an end.
Oh yeah, you ever seen any of that?
No, I really want to watch Star Trek Discovery. I just haven't had the time to do it yet.
I think that had a strong 5 seasons, right?
Yeah, I think at a good. I think I heard the first season not being well liked, but then they moved to a different timeline in season 2 through 5, and fans quickly fell in love with it, and it kind of gave birth to Star Trek: Strange New Worlds because the characters of Commander Pike and them started in Discovery and then spun off into Strange New Worlds, which became increasingly more popular than Discovery. So let's see here. Yeah, Star Trek film origin story. An origin story of sorts for the main timeline of the entire franchise. This is going to be written or directed by Toby Haynes, who directed 3 or more episodes of Andor and Black Mirror USS Callister. And that started pre-production by the end of this year. So that is going to be the first film up. Then they're doing Star Trek, the final chapter of the 2009 cast. Again, still up in the air. And we'll don't know from there. But again, Star Trek is going through a lot of interesting changes. I've recently become a huge fan because of Strange New Worlds. So I'm just really invested on everything happening on Paramount Plus and in cinemas.
Nice.
And I think that brings us to one more thing before we talk about Godzilla versus Kong. Real quick, some of the passing of Chance at the very end. I think we'll leave on that note. Okay. But yeah, let's talk about some happy stuff real quick. Godzilla Kong review. What do you think about this? This was a fun movie. Nathan's going again because he loved it so much. And I think I'll start off by saying I liked this movie more than Godzilla versus Kong, in my opinion. And the reason why is I think a lot of these movies, the humans are the make or break for this movie, even though they shouldn't be. How much I'm willing to stand the human storylines is going to affect my enjoyment of the rest of the movie as well. Because while I do think the kaiju parts of every single one of these movies are excellent, especially in King of the Monsters, the kaiju stuff is visually excellent. I love King of the Monsters, the visual fights. It is still the most gorgeous of the freaking franchise. The human stuff of that movie, though, breaks that movie for me. I just can't stand the human storyline. This movie, though, they finally realized humans don't have to be the antagonist of this franchise. For a lot of the time, even probably outside of the first Godzilla movie, the humans were the bad guys. Samuel L. Jackson versus Kong, and then you had crazy mom versus the monsters, or whatever was happening there. She was siding.
She was on the side of the monsters.
She was siding with the monsters and wanted genocide. Stupid. Anyways, and then in Godzilla versus Kong, you had the group trying to create Metal Godzilla, and then that whole storyline with Millie Bobby Brown going to Hong Kong, and I just didn't give a fuck about any of that human storyline. In this movie, though, they finally realized we don't gotta do shit. We can just be here for comedic relief, weird exposition that lasts like 5 minutes, and then continue the GS stuff, which was universally beloved from the last movie, which I think was cool here too. The GS stuff, once again, is very cool. I love how two of the most highest grossing movies of the year in Dune and in Godzilla X Kong here, a lot of sign language going on in both those movies, a lot of subtitles in both those movies, which I admire very much. And then they made the antagonist kaiju. They made Scar King and Ice Monster Freak, whatever it was called.
Shimo. Freak. Wow.
I'm sorry, Shimo. You're cool. You're a cool guy. Don't freeze.
Shimo's a victim. We'll get there.
We'll get there. And I thought they were solid antagonists. I didn't really listen. They're not as like depth as a Koba in Dawn of the Planet of the Apes or anything like that. But they were fun. Like the fight between Scar King and Kong were fantastic. The best set piece of this entire movie, and possibly the franchise, or at least top 3 set piece of the franchise, was full spoilers, by the way. Full spoilers. It's been 2 weeks now. The gravity scene, the gravity fight sequences, I thought was a spectacular visual feast.
I recalled, I'm pretty sure, a shot of Godzilla in the anti-gravity, but he was like swimming in the air.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah. That's so cool.
Like it gave way to some very cool fights. And then of course the final fight in the city as well was pretty cool as well. Even though most of it was in the trailer. But I really liked a lot of the kaiju fights here. I liked the Gia storyline. Legion guy.
Dan Stevens.
Dan Stevens, thank you. Great! Weird kaiju dentist bullshit. But I didn't care. I liked it.
Funny.
He was funny.
Like genuinely funny. He's enjoyable. He's likable.
He was genuinely funny. And in contrast, I said this on another podcast, but man, Brian Tyree Henry's character is sitting here spitting out every social media lingo in the book. They were like, okay, Reddit, got to say Reddit every other sentence. Got to mention Discord in every other sentence. Got to mention fucking Twitter, Facebook, whatever, every other sentence. It was a lot. It was a lot. He was more bearable in this and the last one, where he was more like, I don't know, he was more like about his antics in the last one. This one, he was more tolerable, but it was just very hit and miss for me compared to Dan Stevens, which was consistently funny. And yeah, I had a fun time with this movie. I thought it was very solid.
Nice.
Yeah. What'd you think overall? Am I stupid?
Are you stupid? Is he stupid? It's one of my favorite fucking. I think that was birthed out of the one of the Arkham games, and then it's like it's a common thing with like different franchises now. Is like, why doesn't so and so just do this? Is he stupid? And it's like, obviously you can't fucking do that. Why doesn't Batman just kill the Joker? Is he stupid? Shit like that. Anyway, no, you're not stupid. It's good. I think it's very Showa era, which I've talked to you about, which you have not seen much of the Showa era outside the first ever Godzilla.
We got to do that. We got to do that sometime this year.
We do. They're all streaming on Max.
Really? Oh, sweet. Yeah.
Under the Criterion Collection, which I own physically. Yeah, this is my least favorite of the MonsterVerse.
Oh, wow.
It
Least
is.
favorite.
I still like it. I gave it. It's funny. I gave it 3 stars, and then I was like maybe 2.5. And I was like, all right, I'll give it 3. Back and forth. I recognize. I recognize it's silly, and like again, it feels very Showa. That being said, I like the Showa era a lot, but it's far from my favorite Godzilla films.
Obviously,
but I appreciate. Yeah, but I appreciate the campiness of them, and that was pretty like tenfold here. I still had a great time with it. I think just off the bat, just to say, why it's my least favorite is because I think it's visually my least favorite of any of them, and that's not just from like a quality of CG perspective, but just like they had such a dynamic lighting and scale framing with the other ones
totally
that
fair.
is just way more
Yeah.
visually pleasing. Even like storyline wise, I prefer the other ones comparatively because this one is just like there's it's bad Scar King who was imprisoned by Godzilla all these years ago. The big lore dump that they had.
That was terrible.
It happened, and I was like, yeah, I get it. I know we got to fast track this.
Yeah.
But all and I didn't find them to be as compelling of I mean arguably they're more compelling than the first Mutos in the 2014 Godzilla just because they have such personality.
The 2014 ones were just like random monsters. Yeah.
But I mean, like even Skull Island, like I love the look of the skull crawlers more. Mecha Godzilla is a great design, and Ghidorah is unmatched for me in Arrival.
Honestly, yeah, 2017's Kong and 2019's Godzilla are definitely the most visually appealing of the franchise. I don't think, what's his name, Adam Wingard. I think he's prioritizing the spectacle over like the visuals of it. Like, not that they look bad; they look solid. They look solid, but I think the visuals of his movie in general don't look. They're not as unique as the other movies in the franchise.
I guess so, but even in Godzilla versus Kong, I saw a lot of like great dynamic shot like that. I don't know why the fuck he cooked. Yeah, there's like a specifically one shot where he cooked so fucking hard in Godzilla vs Kong, which is
the Tokyo
when
scenes?
Mechagodzilla's in Hong Kong, yeah, but like it's when Mechagodzilla knocks down Godzilla and like Godzilla's like about to fucking die basically, and like you get a close up of his iris with the reflection of Mechagodzilla approaching. I'm like, why the fuck is that shot so cool? Out of nowhere, it's so detailed. His eyes dilating. It's so good.
Wow.
Anywho, back to this film though. It's still a fun time for sure. I like how there was so much more time spent with the monsters. Like I knew there was going to be that, but there was a point where I'm catching myself and I'm like, fuck, we have not cut away from them and they're still going. And there's no dialogue and it's working.
I totally agree. And yeah, that's what I admire too much about it. The no dialogue. Kong's whole journey with Baby Kong, whatever his name is. I keep asking you, so I keep forgetting. Suko. Do they say Suko in the movie at all? Is that from toy?
They don't. This is an Ewok situation where like you have to get the names from toy packaging.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like, it's like, do they want us to just call him Baby Kong as an audience? I guess it's easy, kind of like Baby Yoda.
I think a tweet of the official account said that as well. And I was like, all right.
Wow. Okay. Because it's not even right though, because he is obviously the son of someone else from the Scar King's place.
Yeah.
But anyways, that whole story I thought was incredibly not super well done, but it was very solid and something we haven't seen yet from this franchise in terms of like just these two different types of kaijus, Kong and whatever, just having a journey, start off as bad, turn good. It kind of was the same thing you got with Godzilla versus Kong in general, their relationship. But, you know, this one was much more heartfelt because it was Kong's own species.
Absolutely.
And him using Baby Kong, that was wild. Like, why? What was happening?
I leapt out of my seat. I was so taken aback. That's like a number one thing like you do not expect is like, all right, there's a cutesy little thing. Like you think you're gonna see Grogu or Groot go through some shit like that? Absolutely not. This guy didn't give a shit. Like, all right, you bit the hand that's trying to be nice like twice. Fuck it.
Fuck you, yeah.
And
That was
threw him. It was just like, holy shit.
my crowd erupted during that scene. That was wild. I didn't know what I was watching. I was like, this is no joke. He's just carrying Baby Kong and just flinging him across the map and using him to hit other people. It was wild.
Man, so funny. But also their dynamic was pretty fun. I love Kong. I do.
Me too.
I like his characterization. He's been really great. But I do feel the bias of Adam Wingard giving more characterization to him than Godzilla.
Yeah, it's hard to. He hasn't found that balance yet in this franchise.
Yeah, he says if he wants to do if he were to do a third one, which I imagine he will, because it's actually been very profitable, this film.
Oh yeah.
That he wants to do more focus on Godzilla, and I'm like, I appreciate that very much. I want to see him dive into that, because also, even with the little bit he's done here in Godzilla versus Kong, he framed him more in a villainous light, which is why at the time I was revving up the idea of Team Kong, because he was the underdog of the story and they were framing him as the protagonist. Mm-hmm. And then here as well, even with the little bit Godzilla has, he's going into other Titans homes and like taking their energy from them. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. I know he has to power up, but it's like, asshole. There's so many times where Godzilla is such an asshole in this movie. Like I love the scene where Godzilla and Kong are reuniting for the first time. Hey. Where Kong has to get his help. No. That was funny. But it was funny. Also, the perspectives of these monsters moving is hilarious, because Godzilla does a fucking swan dive off of a cliff.
That was insane.
That was, but what I loved about it is, like, when he's on his way to Kong, this motherfucker, this fucking asshole, his dorsal spines go 1, 2, 3 bridges, and then he dived down. Prick. Why do you have to do that? It's so funny.
It's so funny seeing all these actions that Godzilla does. Then you cut to watching 2014's Godzilla, and the way they set up, like, consistently the scale of Godzilla, like, where it's like that one scene where the water's receding, like there's an earthquake, and you see the flickering lights, and you look up, and Godzilla's like this huge creature. Then cut to this movie where he's just jumping off of a cliff. You're like, the size is just, it's so hard to comprehend.
He flooded a city. People drowned in Hawaii.
Exactly.
And now 10 years later, just like, ooh.
He just
casually in the Coliseum like a cat. I love it.
I love that too. That was amazing.
That was funny.
That should be the ending of every single movie going forward. It's him coming back to the Coliseum.
Absolutely. Mothra's back. I'm happy. Mothra is my favorite character outside of Godzilla.
I remember this happening. I told Jalen after the movie, I was like, Nathan is going to have to explain this to me. So this is a different Mothra from 2014 or 2019's Godzilla, or same one, or rebirth, right?
Yeah. So essentially, in lore of Mothra, every time she dies, there's always an egg that's laid, and her consciousness transfers to that larva, and so it's a resurrection, basically, a reincarnation.
That's what I figured. I figured it was like a rebirth, resurrection kind of ideal going on there.
Yeah.
But I loved it. I loved it when they came back, basically being the mediator for both of them and being like Godzilla's best friend. It was great.
Yeah, that was great. Although it was funny because, like, they're doing the thing with Gia where essentially, like, they summon Mothra and she appeared out of fucking nowhere, and I'm like, this has never happened. What?
Yeah.
You did not hatch from an egg.
Yeah, so that was weird.
That was new. Maybe I guess they were just like, we need to get her in.
Yeah, we needed to hurry it up. Was the kind of movie, the movie in general had that kind of like prerogative where it was just like, we need to get from point A to point B, and it doesn't matter how we get there. But yeah, maybe she was already there, and then Gia helped summon her. I don't know.
I guess this whole crystal underground Hollow Earth with the EV people, it was interesting. It felt very.
Did you like that storyline?
I certainly didn't mind it. I like it. I like Gia as a character. I like how much like exploration she has and vulnerability. I liked Rebecca Hall's characterization even more here, because she's in the role of like a mother having to accept the idea of letting go of her adoptive daughter in that sense, even though that's not what she wanted at all.
I couldn't agree more, man. I've seen some people having some complaints about that side of the storyline in this movie. Or like, yeah, I guess it is very like cookie cutter one note, but at least they're trying something here in terms of like an emotional storyline here with the mother. You've seen it before, but at least again, they're trying something compelling here for the humans. It's solid enough and it's a good enough background outside of the kaiju monster fest that you're really here for. The other movies for me, they weren't even trying. I don't even know what the human stuff was. But at least in here, they're trying with Gia, and I really liked Gia's character. She is such a great great anchor for the human side of the storyline that is very necessary. They're getting closer and closer to having an interesting human storyline, a la -1. But yeah.
Yeah. Also, there was like a hint that Rebecca Hall and Dan Stevens' character had some sort of relationship in the past. I like how they played that because it was like something that was like, yeah, there was something there. Could there be again? Sure, but we're also not going to like push it like in your face. It's casual. It's very like a natural like exploration of these characters. I really liked it.
I really liked that as well. My brother and I whispered during the movies, we're like, thank God they're not like kissing during the climactic battle. That's not what these characters are for. Just like the audience, they're just here to have fun. And Dan Stevens' character was having fun the whole time. Granted, Rebecca Hall's character not having fun; she's looking for a daughter. But it's like, they established their connection. They're best buds now, and then there wasn't any need to like reinforce a whole romantic subplot to her character as well. So yeah, I really bought it. I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, and I really like the exploration of why Kong needed the gauntlet. Like he ends up getting frostbite from Shimo, and his hand gets like messed up. I really like that reasoning. Also, when they fly it in, just having to have the capability of transporting it, I was like, all right, I don't mind.
Yeah, it was weird. I was like, okay, I guess it's just, I thought they were going to do something else to get it from point A to point B, but they just flew it in there. And I think, okay, that's cool. That the whole Shimo versus Kong thing reminds me of just Adam Wingard understands just how, and maybe this is the difficulty with I'm not giving him excuses, no. But it's like trying to adapt an interesting Godzilla storyline versus Kong, because Kong is much more of a vulnerable monster. It's easier for Kong to be the main character versus Godzilla, because Kong's much more of a vulnerable character. Godzilla is so fucking powerful. Like Shimo froze Kong's hand instantly, and his arm was like basically done without the help of the fist aid. Shimo hits Godzilla. Godzilla gets wounded, but 2 seconds later, Godzilla's right back over to fighting. And just like Godzilla is so powerful. Godzilla could have probably taken Shimo and Scar King by himself. It's just that Kong really helped him out.
Well, allegedly that did happen in the lore.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. What am I saying? Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But I guess also, Scar King had a fucking army at that point, which didn't use in this battle. But also, it was interesting to explore the idea that Shimo wasn't actually like a villainous character just for the sake of it, that she was being controlled by one of her crystals and was forced into doing this stuff.
I liked that as well, and it made for a very interesting end to the whole scuffle at the very end of the movie, where it's like, oh wait, I'm out of here now? You can go now, Scar King. And literally froze him, and then Kong just smashes. That was brutal.
Yes. Now, here's the funny thing in that point is like there was a shot. So like Shimo went to go ice breath, and then Godzilla. I saw it happen. I watched it happen. I saw it. Don't tell me it didn't happen. I watched Godzilla charge up to help her against Scar King at that point, and you see him charge up, and then we cut over, and then Kong does the whole thing, and Godzilla didn't fire, and we never got back to him for that.
Oh, interesting.
I was like, what happened? I was like, why'd you put that in?
That's weird. Yeah.
Was he like, never mind?
So you're saying like Shimo was freezing Scar King, and Godzilla was gonna also like blast it away?
It was too? Like, I was like, Shimo went, ha, and Godzilla went, getting ready, but then just like, all right, boom, we got him.
I think it was, I guess, given that, I assume it was supposed to be like, well, Kong's like, fuck it, all the charging. I'm done with this guy. He needs to go. But yeah, it was very funny and brutal execution sequence, shattering him in a million pieces.
I was very taken aback with how large Shimo is. She's bigger than all of them, like to the point where they could ride
Really?
Shimo. Yeah.
Because Kong could ride Shimo.
Yeah.
Couldn't Kong also
Shimo
ride
was
Godzilla? No, I guess not.
not that. I remember that quick shot promo came out, and people were like, "What?" But in the actual context of the movie, it was just kind of like a point launch for Kong for like a second to jump up, so that they could have that cool jump toward each other shot.
That like Age of Ultron-esque shot, or just like, yeah, that was so goofy.
Yeah, they invented
so
it.
Cool. I know, yeah.
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 Also, I really liked when Mothra was helping out in the zero gravity, like webbing the different enemies away from Godzilla.
That was awesome. Yeah, the whole zero gravity sequence in general was really cool. Seeing Kong and Scar King like propel themselves and fight in midair. Like you said, Godzilla was like swimming in the air. It was insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how, again, they just added, because after Godzilla versus Kong, I'm like, what can you add to Hollow Earth? Like, there's so much potential within this realm, and I think Adam did a good job of like creating a different part of the Hollow Earth alone with this new civilization and all this kind of stuff. Like, and I'm going to ask the question again, like for the third movie, where can you go with Hollow Earth? Like, what's the next obstacle? What's the next region we haven't discovered yet? And what's next for Kong and Baby Kong? Are they the new kings of that area now? Now Scar King's gone? Are we going to see Kong making a democracy? A council of Kongs?
Stop it. I like your ring. I like it. Yeah, I mean, I think effectively, yeah, Kong is going to be the official King Kong. Finally. Wow. No longer just sitting on that empty throne that got destroyed in the last
movie. He's not alone anymore. Now he has a whole civilization helping him out. So I'm very curious to see what's next for him.
Yeah, it did suck though that like all this time he was looking for like his people, and he finally did, and like 8 of them tried to kick his ass.
I know, right? I'm like, damn, I've been looking for people just like me for so long. I finally meet them, and y'all trying to attack me? And he beat all their asses too.
It was so funny when he got to like the lair, in a sense, and like that one guard was like screaming in his fucking face.
That meme is already on Twitter, which again, stop taking videos of movies, guys. It's stupid. Stop it. Anyways,
the shitty cam rip and extreme high speed. I get it's like this is what memes are, but like,
yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you. But it was it was a very funny scene, and the crowd really loved that scene as well. It was a very funny scene. There's a lot of great comedy. I think this is one of the more funny movies of the franchise, right next to 2017's Kong.
There was cool moments, like in the very opening, Kong's being chased by those wolves, and he just like tears one of them over him to scare him away. That was very brutal. It was funny. It's funny when you're like deep in the lore of this monsterverse, because I remember there was a couple people on Twitter who were calling out the first like spider crab monster that Godzilla takes down in Rome in the beginning of the movie, and people were like, "Why the fuck did you killing her for? She bowed in 2019," and that's true if you look back. I was like, "Holy shit!" Yeah, why?
That's messed up. Well, maybe she bowed in 2019, but then she did some bad stuff now, and Godzilla's like, "Now you got to go." I don't know.
I guess, or I mean, she's like also just like rampaging, and it's like okay, but also Godzilla was trying to level up. There's a whole bunch of stuff. The serpent was really cool in the Arctic. The brief we got that, which was I guess like a very powerful one, which I liked because there's a kaiju from the Godzilla lore named Manda who's looked similar to that, and I was like, that's cool. I'm glad it wasn't technically Manda because I would like to see him again. But no, sushi floating up to the top. It's a lot of fun. It's fun. Godzilla's power up, his new look. Obviously, it made a lot of sense for the story. Although I will say, I missed the blue. Is this reversible? I don't, it's a good look, but like I miss the blue.
It seems like it. It seems like he only got purple because he ate that monster, or drained that monster's energy or whatever it was he was doing.
Yeah.
So it's probably going to die down after a while because I also miss the blue. But yeah, I'm excited. Like you were mentioning earlier, I'm excited to see what Wingard can do with Godzilla again. Because I think, again, King of the Monsters, Godzilla's storyline alone, outside of the whole human bullshit, was very interesting. Again, I think King of the Monsters did a very good job with that. And in 2014's Godzilla. So I'm very curious to see where we go now. And in my opinion, he's just such a powerful creature. I'm very curious to see who can stand up for him in the sense that he's going to need Kong again. Because I think they are still going to do it in terms of GX Kong, like GXK. We're still getting Kong in the next movie. But like you said, Wingard did say he wants to focus on Godzilla more so, which again makes sense because Godzilla played second fiddle to Kong in this movie. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But overall, yeah, I had a blast with it. I had a very fun time with it. Yeah, best movie of the year for me. Kidding.
It's top 4. I've watched a lot. I watch 8 movies. It's top 4.
Yeah, I must say, do you have a Below Madam Web?
Yes, like Madam Web's at the very bottom.
Yeah. What's number 3 for you?
Let me look real quick. My number 3 of the
Immaculate.
Year. Oh no, Godzilla Kong is number 3. That's right.
I haven't seen that much movies. Your number 1 is Dune. Your number 2 is what has come out this year? Argyle is number 2.
Argyle is number 6 out of 8.
Yeah, I mean that smoking hall scene was cool. But yeah, what's your number? What's your number 3?
My number 2 is Lisa Frankenstein.
Oh yeah, I need to watch that movie. I totally missed the ball. Yeah, it came out Super Bowl weekend. I was busy, and then I never had a chance to see it again.
It was commentary. Gone. It's really funny.
Is it streaming yet? It's on Peacock?
It's on Peacock.
What? Since when?
Buckle up, Evan. Here we go.
Wow. I did not know it was on Peacock. I'll definitely be we don't have the commentary this one. I'll watch it by myself.
All right, fine.
We have enough, Nathan. What do you mean?
If I care. Motherfucker just want to hang out with me.
Not at all. No. I don't care.
I don't care. Still haven't seen the fugitive.
That's what we do in this podcast. We quote movies we haven't seen.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's about it for movie news. Before we go, though, I do want to say it's very unfortunate that we talk about the passing of Chance Pardimo. Looks like I got his last name right. I'm terrible with names. Chance Perdomo, sorry. From Gen V, which was a super, super, super unfortunate passing. Apparently there was a motorcycle accident, and he, it just passed away. It reminds me very much of waking up to Anton Yelchin's death at one time, where it's just a very tragic, he would do this at home. It was a car accident again. So it's very unfortunate because he was such a fantastic rising star. I didn't see him in Sabrina, but of course, me and you both watched Gen V, and I think he was one of the major beating hearts of Gen V. Like Gen V was such an emotional first season, and he had a lot of the most emotional scenes. So I just wanted to take this time to talk about some of my favorite scenes of his in Gen V. But yeah, what were your thoughts?
I mean, it's devastating news. And like, I'm not being hyperbolic. Like, this isn't because of what's happened. I genuinely have felt he was my favorite actor on the show. Like he gave my favorite performances in there. He really does just like has such a sense of vulnerability to him
Yes.
with his like not just with like the things he's struggling with, but even just like the people he's caring about. You just see how he's trying to keep a composure while being so glossy eyed and like trying to keep it all in. It's very, very good.
It was excellent, and when I look back on it, his scenes with I forget the name now, of course, but his girlfriend who ended up spoilers for Gen V, of course. His girlfriend who ended up being evil / misguided. I think her name was Kate now. Maybe I'm wrong. But his scenes with her when he realized she was like betraying him, that was some of the best scenes when like the camera zooms into his eyes. You can really see what he's feeling, the betrayal that he's feeling, the way he feels like the person I love is betraying me. But also, you can get his scene with his father as well at the hospital, with his affliction as well. That was a very interesting and heartfelt storyline where his father is dealing with this affliction in his family, and it's something that eventually was going to affect him as well in terms of like, hey, this power will, like a brain aneurysm, something along those lines. So it was Kate, by the way. It was Andre and Kate. Yeah, so that whole storyline was very heartfelt and heartbreaking. So yeah, this was just a major blow, but I loved a lot of his scenes. Even, sorry, I'm going all over the place, but like when we first see him on the show, I think he's one character, but then throughout the show, they kind of develop him in a way that kind of expands on that. That was the same way with a lot of the characters in Gen V, where I thought they were going to be one thing, but they developed into something far more greater and nuanced. And that was my way in the first episode, where I thought, oh, he's going to be the bully's like best friend, and he's not going to be that interesting. But he turns out to be a very reliable friend, very reliable ally, and one who has a lot of, like you said, vulnerabilities to both his father, his best friend, because he's going out with his dead friend's girlfriend who also betrayed him. Like, there is so much that he has to deal with, but it comes across in his face so well, and I buy it every single time. It was excellent.
Man.
Yeah, so it was just a very, very, very tragic loss. Because again, he was a very big rising star in the industry. I was very excited to see where he was going to go from here on in. Yeah, it was just very, very sad. So I wish the whole cast and crew and his family so much love in their time of need. So yeah, that's about it. But yeah, we will be here next time on our channel. Please like and subscribe to conclude our commentary on War for the Planet of the Apes. That's our next big commentary. Then after that, buckle up, because we're going to be now till Deadpool and Wolverine watching Nathan, are we doing every single Fox movie? Is that viable? Can we do it? What are we doing?
Every Fox movie since 1979. Right. No. Yes. From the year 2000, every Marvel property Fox film.
Yes.
Not Ghost Rider. That's Sony.
No, and I think we'll have time for it, because I think the X-Men trilogies 3, and then the young cast, whatever, how many movies they did. They did like four.
3 Wolverine movies.
3 Wolverine movies.
There's 2 Deadpool movies,
which are important. Oh god! And then
there's 3 Fantastic Four films. There's a Daredevil and Electro. That's 18.
Right. This is insane. So I think
we're breaking the record.
we're going to be going crazy this year, but I think we have to prioritize the X-Men stuff first of all, and the Deadpool movies, and then if we have time, the Fantastic Four stuff.
And then, I'll have time. I'll make time.
Oh my god. I think in general we're gonna have a lot of time once it hits summertime. We can do multiple podcasts a week. It's like now it's during school weeks and Nathan has a job, or Nathan's still gonna have a job over the summer. But it's like I know, right? No,
What do you know?
But yeah,
What did you see?
The things I've seen, things I've done. So we'll see what happens. We'll have a lot of time. We'll do like 2 shit a week, whatever. We'll make time. So yeah, like and subscribe. You guys can find me on Twitter at HarrisEV9. Currently watching the show Warrior on Netflix, a kung fu Asian action drama on Netflix. I love it so much. It's so excellent. That's it for my live action side. I'm also watching X-Men 97, but I watched this very new anime. It came out just yesterday, and I fell in love with the premiere. It's called Jellyfish Can't Swim in the Night, or at night. And it's a slice of life, really well done, beautifully directed anime. Like the camera work was unbelievable. It's about this girl who's an artist, but she's worried about like how her friends look at her. They made fun of this mural when she was young, but then she comes across this other girl who is also very she's an ex-idol, but she's also like much more driven than her and ambitious, and they kind of like gel there. I don't know if it's gonna become girlfriend or anything, but the friendship was very good in the first episode. It was very heartfelt, the way they're like reflecting off one another. And it felt very genuine. It's a very nice slice of life. So if anybody wants to look that up again, Jellyfish Can't Swim at Night. It's a great show, or a great first episode. And yeah, that's what I'm doing. And then besides that, I have an eclipse to watch tomorrow. I'm in the 99% range of the fucking eclipse. This is going to be incredible to see. We're not going to be able to see this for the next one is going to be like 20 to 40 years from now, maybe 70. I don't know what they said, but it's going to be a long time. So this is going to be one for the books tomorrow.
You can catch me watching Twilight Eclipse tomorrow. I'm sorry.
Oh boy.
I do eventually want to do.
No, you don't. Shut the fuck up. Shut the
I
fuck
do.
up.
I do.
No,
I do.
You're lying to yourself.
Have you seen them?
I saw the first 2. That was it.
I think it'd be fun. Maybe they're actually good. With our trash love for romance.
I know we love romance, but like watching the Twilight movies could be a very fun experience going in. Like, where the fuck is this going? You're right. You know,
I got you.
Maybe that could
Trust
be our next thing.
This is why they pay me the big bucks.
Yeah, exactly.
You find me at _TimeBlazer, making a show called Time Blazer with co-star and creative consultant Evan Harris.
Hell yeah, playing Ben, best goddamn character in the show.
Absolutely debatable. Up there. Anyway, I think pretty compelling. That being said, if you guys enjoy this, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and already ring the bells. You miss future My Cup of Teas. That being said, hope you have a great day. Catch you guys next time.